Tonight on Shit Talk News, this week we discuss Moon Knight finale, as well as Michael Keaton plays more than just one Batman. Dave Chappelle gets attacked on stage, some Biting Ezra Miller news, and welcome to Shit Talk News with Steve and Gary. Oh shit.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Shit Talk with Steve and Gary. For a second here, I just want to introduce, we've got our good friend Martin, who is here to take care of the chat as people roll in. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it, Martin.
Don't worry, man.
All right, fuck off now. Oh, Steve.
Gary.
Steve.
Gary.
Man.
Judy.
I am still drained from the weekend. That was an exhausting weekend. Go to that Ren Fair. I wished I'd gone in many ways to the convention with Keith, but man, oh man, went to that Ren Fair. I'm going to tell you two things: uneven ground, trying to walk with a cane. That's fun shit. It was the most realistic Ren Fair I've ever been to in the 30-some years I've been going to them, because it was just chock full of mud. It was a huge storm, and it flooded part of the park. And so therefore, every road walkway was close to about 4 inches of mud deep. And I said, the only thing different between this and the actual Middle Ages is that wouldn't be mud by itself. There'd be a lot of shit and piss mixed in with it. So I'm thankful that that really wasn't the case that I'm aware of. But I want to greet everybody that's
cell service.
Again, thank you, Martin, for being our the guy in charge of chat.
And share out the stream, ladies and gentlemen, because we're too lazy.
Astro, I want to say hello to everybody. Astro is here. Stun Pie Media, War Monkey, Zaxinator. They're all here right now, along with Stream Elements, who's making sure that the they promote us like we set them up to do. I'd like you to teach me to do a better version of what we got on Stream Elements, but
we can. I can actually help you set it up so when you do go live, it automatically goes right to your Twitter at the same time, and you can have all the hashtags you wanted it without the tagging.
Oh, really?
You know, when I go live and it just sees my logo and it has my link of my channel, that's the Stream Elements doing it automatically.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, damn, I didn't know it could do that. Yeah, walk me through that shit, buddy. I'm going to go ahead and do something real quick here. You want to talk about some stuff?
Yeah. Watching, we were going to talk about it later, but I had more entertainment with Dave Chappelle this morning than I did with Moon Knight. Rest my case.
Oh, my God.
We did have Chuck Dixon on. It was a great interview. Gary refused my invite because I never sent it.
I was like, I thought I was supposed to come to the show.
He didn't even message me like, "Hey, buddy, send the link," because I might have just forgotten.
I didn't know what was going on, so I just sort of like maybe
you should have sent me the link. Yeah, you should. I know, and I didn't want. I know he's been exhausted in Ren Fair, 4 inches of. Shit.
I missed 2 days of stuff.
I
feel really awful right now because Sil, because of his job, has to drop out of our Scoop Zone show. And that really, I hate saying I get bummed out about things, but I was already exhausted, and that it just added to my being exhausted. So I just didn't want to talk to anybody yesterday. I was feeling off, you know, and I talked to 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. I skipped even doing his show last night. I just didn't have it in me.
Yeah, I was looking for you. You weren't there either. It's all good.
Yeah, I felt awful, but it's like, look, when you feel that off, man, just don't do the show. I can't fake it. Mr. Tickle Trunk is here. Oh my gosh, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Tickle Trunk with some shit calling for Canadian $5. Thank you, dear sir. Let me get video here for you. What video do I want to play? Just real quick.
Thank you.
And then, of course, oh yeah, I want to do this one.
Wow.
I do have a follow-up. Next time you want me to host a show, I love that you had everything properly labeled, but you had so many goddamn videos that I felt intimidated because I thought I had a lot of videos.
I told you.
I got in there like I appreciate it. I'll gladly do it again.
Yours because your videos that you added a long time ago are still in there. I'm like, I actually like those. This one.
This town needs an enema.
Because you added that. I did get rid of the other Batman one because I felt it wasn't quite as fitting.
That's cool. But no, I'm grateful you gave me the opportunity to host and help both shows during. And I thought,
well, you're co-host anyway. You know, on TGIF.
Hear that, Mom? Sorry.
But let's get back. See what's going on over here. Hell, nothing to us. But no, thank you, Mr. Tickle Drunk. Thank you very much. You are still one of the only people. You, Mexican Iron Man, Jim Woodward, Terry, and I can't remember their names. There's two other people that are friends of Keith and mine who really support us. And Script, what's up, my friend? You are actually out there watching us right now. That's unbelievable. So surreal.
Never shows up for me.
I really, Script, you want to pop in with us for a second just to say hi? Let me know if you do. I'll send you an invite to join Steven and me. But we are just going to go over our typical shit talking. First of all, I know that we were scheduled to talk about Ezra Miller, and I know you collected some information on that because we don't know where this is going, and it really is suspicious. And you know that. Yeah, but the fact is, but when you see, you got the photo of the bite marks that he did.
I do, but just to give a quick summary while I try to find
it. Do your thing.
In my files. About, I think 2 weeks ago, we had a TikTok account by the name of Mia Solange come out and accuse Ezra Miller allegedly of being an abuser. It had pictures and a little quote saying, "I'm finally not terrified to call Ezra Miller abuser. He's an effing horrible person," etc., etc. After that, we were seeing other videos popping up with bruise marks and all that stuff on her thighs, and something about pronouns and all that crap. And in generalization, when it comes to abuse allegations, you have to take them with a grain of salt, but you also take them seriously because the way we're seeing with things with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, you can't just throw everything to when it's fake.
Yeah, we have to be skeptical since the Me Too movement, and look at the damage it did to trust. So, everything with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you should side on skepticism, but pay attention.
The other thing is that we are coming up to a rumor mill that's going around as I try to pull it up, is that the account that was featured in Bounding in the Comics today was pretty much the rumor is going around since I've been covering this, is that here I'll share the picture. It's actually from the TikTok.
Yeah, the article.
I don't have the article, but I'll grab it in 1 second. Is that supposedly there is a stalker that is even known to authorities. Her name is Lauren, going back from 2016.
And here we go. I found the article.
And this account, I have the pictures you asked, but I can use the article. That's cool. I'll use the article.
You want me to go ahead and pull the article?
All right. Pull up the article. And the thing is that what's going around is that she's been constantly going after Ezra Miller, saying that Ezra Miller is stalking her and saying he's copying everything he does. And we were seeing the video of these conversations with those pictures that are linked, is that it's actually Lauren and Solange actually talking to each other, but it's all just a setup to discredit his name. And she has been known to do this over the years. After that, she did a video, I think the next day, saying this is not tea to be sipped. When I am ready to talk about it, I will. This has been about 2 weeks.
There's the bite marks. You there, Stephen?
Meanwhile, we have the
Stephen, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm not hearing you.
fucking internet. All right, am I back?
Yes, you are.
So where did I end up? This account is supposedly Lauren.
Right.
Is Lauren. So this whole thing might be fake. The whole conversation might be between her and Mia. If there were actual other victims, I'm surprised they haven't come forward yet. And this seems more like a discredit money scheme from what people are saying, that no one have dealt with Lauren in the past. They have chased her off. They have discredited everything. So we're pretty much waiting for whatever comes out next. And if you go to Ren's Twitter, it's not, or Instagram, it's nuts.
Huh.
So let's say this. Let's say there's not even an abuse. This is an abuser allegation and it's fake. It's kind of funny because it fell out right at the day before the Amber Heard trial started, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, so if they were trying to use that as leverage to believe everything that was going down.
Yeah, and you got to watch that stuff because, man, oh man, Amber Heard's case is falling apart day by day, and her creepy behavior in the courthouse of wearing whatever someone else was wearing in the courthouse the previous day, she wears the exact same thing. I'm like, what the fuck is that about?
Narcissism.
That's crazy shit right there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And this whole thing that Spencer covers, like I've been covering this for 2 weeks, but it's kind of dead because there hasn't been any new information going out. And if you go to like Ezra versus Accountability's Twitter, it's nuts. I'm gonna hold on. Ezra versus. If you actually go to, and this is supposedly actually a woman, and it links to the same thing, and it sounds like she's stalking and has made up a narrative that Ezra is copying everything they do, and it's fake, that these accounts that are coming and talking to her are actually Ezra Miller under a false identity.
See, that falls under the same. Oh man,
narcissism.
Yeah, I was sorry, I stopped to read what he was saying. Yeah, narcissism. Mimicking, copying.
Here, I'll even bring it up. We can read here. Let's just go right to the Twitter account itself. That's why I'm not choosing a side. I just recorded whenever it was going down. That's why I'm saying there's more proof. And then we're seeing other things going on. We're seeing direct messages from people that are actually working on the musical or this music project that's coming out with Ezra and a couple other people. And there's also a clothing line coming. And this guy says he was with them for a couple, and there was never any sign of violence or abuse towards Solange or Ezra at all. So there's a whole bunch of different stories coming out, but this right here, this was already proven wrong, that it was Warner Brothers Entertainment. It wasn't. They got this all wrong. This was just proven, and the person blocked the account. The using the there is embarrassing. All of this stuff is like literally someone who's just raging on people that don't believe her, and she's using. Yeah, it's. Like waifu general actresses.
What to do when you have one crazy person going after another crazy person?
Yeah.
Which side do you take?
And here I'll even try to click on it. And we'll go to her Instagram. And this is Vintage Devil. This is Lauren. And she's claiming that all of this stuff is Ezra's copying her, and we're seeing weird, like the same symbols we saw on everything. Okay. It literally sounds like she's very addicted. Now she's trying to say that Ezra's following her shop, even though she has the same shop. It's crazy. So I'm beginning to think it's more of an obsessed fan than anything else, living in a delusion than anything else. Like the negative ghostwriter stuff, she's now trying to say that the other person that's in this band or this clothing company is also the next to be groomed. and there's no proof behind it. And I've been through all that Instagram. And then they're trying to say that these are all Ezra's weapons and stuff. And it's all over the place. I really think this person's off their rocker to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So take it with a grain of salt. And I'm not saying Spencer's not reporting a story, but just make sure when you're doing it, do it unbiased, because abuse is serious, but it also is. It can be abused for a narrative to destroy someone, as we're seeing with Turd and Depp.
Yeah, and I was just got a peek. I got a little news update about Bill Murray, but it's nothing really I haven't already heard.
He looked broken in that interview. God dang.
Well, look, it's apparently I forget her name, the black chick that's in the movie with him.
Kiki, the Disney star.
Yeah, she had posted something about acting professionally and blah blah blah, and it's like
on Instagram. Yep.
And it's like, do you understand that you're not the star of this film? Bill Murray is. If you bring Bill Murray in, when a studio brings him in, that means they already know, because he has a history of odd and difficult behavior. So when they bring him in, they expect that. I believe that this is something that's going to go back to Seth Rogen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put money on the fact that he's really the problem here. But especially when they jumped immediately before an investigation could have ever been done, that he was definitely not the person. It's like, why did you say it that way?
The other thing that's weird is, like, if you actually have if you're trying to be professional and you have a problem with a fellow actor, why not go to the HR or whatever staff is involved in fixing those situations?
No shit, that's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, and he posted an Instagram post like a little bitch.
It's so unprofessional, because she in her post on Instagram was talking about professionalism. Well, that's it. And then you think, well, wait a minute. Isn't it also professional not to fucking do what you just did? Even if you didn't call out their names, it's clearly the fucking film you're working on, and you didn't go through the proper channels to do it. She's just your typical fucking spoiled fucking Hollywood person,
10 million followers on Instagram, and you're getting offended by Bill Murray. I think
just unfucking believable. Unfucking believable. Hey, Bill Murray. I fucked him. Okay, so yeah, I'm siding with poor Bill on this. He's just trying to be himself. And he doesn't. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. He's not going to do something new. And you get these crybabies. And I include Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu in this shit. They got to work with a fucking star like Bill Murray. But they always warn you, be careful meeting your heroes, because I never wanted to meet Harrison Ford the whole time I've been doing the Blade Zone thing, the Blade Runner fan club. People are like, why didn't you want to interview him? I'm like, because I like him, and I hear he's a fucking dick, and I don't want that experience. And the same thing goes for Bill Murray. I would never want to fucking meet him, because I don't idolize him, but I really do admire him and like him, despite some of the shitty things I know he's done.
And if you're actually very, very upset with how Michael Keaton has acted, to the point where you have to make a post, and then literally 2 days later, you're on goddamn the set of Sesame Street with Elmo. Come on.
I gotta tell you, man, that's some shit right there.
I wonder if Elmo feels harassed.
I did want to bring this up real quick. Add stream here. There we go. I'm kind of excited about this. Director Stephen Ford announced that he will make a lore-accurate Halo film following atrocious audience scores for Paramount's live. It's a garbage show. I tried watching it, and people, I've got reporter friends. One of them works for this magazine, and she and I got into a disagreement. It was very polite, and I said, "You didn't play the game." She goes, "No," and I said, "Argument's over."
Why. Yeah, it's over.
If you're going to make something like this, you clearly want the core audience. And when you make it to where it's going to piss off the core audience, you have failed. Remember the pull the sword out of the stone? Yeah. In order to pull the sword out of the stone, you got to get everything fucking right.
And the thing is, what's going on lately with these types of companies that are producing this crap, especially from CBS, because they're 0 for 3 when it comes to Discovery, Picard, and Halo, is the fact is they're not following the stuff that's already there, Disney included, and they're trying to make a new set of fans with their own timelines, thinking that you don't need to know the backstory to just enjoy that it's still Halo. It's not still Halo. And at the end of the day, as much as it's creating new fans, the new fans are either going to not understand why people are upset, they're going to deny that the reasons for being upset don't exist, or it's like they're trying to disrespect the things that come out of video games are not considered canon. It's like taking all the Marvel comic books, just burning them all, saying they never existed, and then rewriting all of them.
We'll be getting into that with Moon Knight in the last part of the show. Yeah, I'm excited by this, even though this is not going to be a studio film. This is just him. He plans to make the film under his own budget. It'll only be available on YouTube, and it'll come out in June. Good. So, but I'm just assuming there's going to be a lot of green screen with this. But I'm looking forward to see what he does. Hey, Martin, can you highlight Scribe's comment up above? I had a manager. Above that one. Por favor.
It's why I watch one episode.
I
watched one episode of Paramount and never again, and they're blocking anyone who criticizes their show. Paramount and CBS.
I'm not going to bother criticizing. It's just garbage. Yeah. I had a manager once who decided to tell a coworker I had filed a concern about that it was me that filed. Oh man, the guy confronted me the next morning. Wholly inappropriate. Yeah.
No, they're not supposed to do that.
That manager should be fired. That's fireable offense with most companies.
That's like leaking Supreme Court shit. Oops, my bad.
Yeah, I know. And
Elizabeth Warren.
Scalia has released the court
decision.
The people in charge of the legal, the law enforcement side of the courts. And put them in charge of an investigation to find out who did this. Find out who leaked it. You could see somebody be removed from, if it's one of the Supreme Justices, their ass is grass if they fucking did that. That is a criminal offense.
It is. It is. Did you see and my favorite, I think, has to be, I don't know what it's a toss-up right now. Elizabeth Warren losing her crap, or Dave Chappelle knocking out the crap. Like it's like this day can't get any better.
Yeah, let's get to that. Let's get to that because I have that video. I wanted to show that. Let's see, share video. Yeah, I want to do that. Let's open that folder up.
Because I had a manager that kept vaping in the back room with where all our stock was. And other employees saw this and thought they can get away with it. So one day, one of the district managers came and going, "Why does all of our back rooms smell like this? Why does our product smell like this?" I'm like, "Well, there's only one manager smoking and vaping in the back room. She's also the same one who's telling us to follow kids around the store just so they don't touch any of the folded shirts and automatically accuse them of stealing." And I'm like, "I'm not doing that." Guess who got to keep their job after lockdown? Scary. Not me.
Yeah, well, not you.
Yeah, guess why?
Here we go.
The DJ table is one of the most prolific producers that hip-hop has ever presented, the mighty Mad Lib. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for hip-hop
Here he goes.
history.
They need Benny Hill music.
I think Chappelle hit him with the microphone because I heard it.
I am going to kill that.
Oh, shit, I love this. I saw this morning. I went
live at 8 in
the morning.
Hi, lovely Sherry. Hi, Aaron. Now, if I didn't say hi to you, Scribe, hey, buddy. Stomp him.
after me.
That guy earned every bit of it. We're lucky because he had a gun. Apparently, we're lucky he didn't shoot anybody.
Gun and knife.
Thank God that was clumsy.
Thank God he was clumsy.
He's back there getting stomped.
I love the Twitter feed too. People are saying he should sue Chappelle for what?
Where did that come from? Thank you, son. It was a trans man. Everybody compose yourselves.
Do you know what the name of this festival is called?
I've been doing this 35 years. I just stomped the backstage. Always wanted to do that. Whenever you're in trouble, Jamie Foxx would show up in the sheriff's hat. I thought that was part of the show. I don't know what the I grabbed the back of his head. His hair was spongy. Absorbent.
Listen, I just want to say, man, I've had an incredible time. This man is an absolute genius. We got to make sure we protect him at all times, man. This is what it's about. For every comedian that comes out here, man, this means every...
Was that Will Smith?
Is that Will?
Now, Gary, share this for the perfect follow-up of what happened.
Yeah, that guy is foobar.
Yeah. So it was a gun with a knife in the dude. What do you get from the Dollarama? What the fuck?
Yeah, I know, that's crazy.
His arm was not only he wasn't only disarmed, he was dislocated. That arm was literally in front of him, like that Charlie Sheen movie with the invaders, like the legs, but his elbow was facing northwest. He deserved it.
Well, look, you know, Netflix is getting what it worked for.
Mm-hmm. It's actually it was at the Hollywood Bowl. It was called the Netflix is a Joke Festival. That's what the name of the thing was called.
Yeah, it's fucking goofy. It's Minnie Mouse. It's fucking goofy. You know, before we get into the Michael Keaton thing, I kind of wanted to go into the Star Wars. It's May the 4th. Once again, man, May the 4th be with all you motherfuckers.
May the Schwartz be with you.
My daughter said it to me first thing this morning. She wrote me, "May the 4th be with you, Dad." And I went, I grabbed a photo of Obi-Wan where he looks like Jesus, where they intentionally made him look like Jesus. And then I did the classic Catholic response, which is fitting. It says, "And also with you." I sent that back to my little girl. Yeah, she didn't know what to do with that. She's a terrible Catholic. Yes, and also with you. That's right there.
May the Schwartz be with you. Because I got online tickets. You see Robert Meyer Burnett and like Nerdrotic and Chris Gore and all them like Star Wars is dead. Happy May 4th. Or there was the best one. They had all the titles from the sequel trilogy. Had like they killed Han Solo. They killed Princess Leia. They killed Chewbacca or whatever.
Now I don't know if I want to show the whole trailer here.
You can just mute it every 10 seconds or stop it every 10 seconds.
You know, I'm seeing all the angles and stuff. You know, it's like
I want to know if the trooper helmets are original trilogy or First Order.
These are classic. You can tell by this part right here.
Okay, I hope so.
It is. These are also the vacuum thing created.
Yeah,
so that's classic. These are classic. Look at the cheap ass strips that George Lucas used for to hold the shoulder parts up. So it's classic.
There's so much diversity in Neo Tokyo.
I still don't like they got him wrong. His head should be bigger and his eyes should not be human looking.
No, they shouldn't.
But I got to tell you, look, man, it's an alien universe.
And all we're seeing is Tatooine.
Natural diversity. The problem is way too many humanoids, which is the problem with modern diverse Star Wars, is way too many humanoids and way too many human females. It's like women are in charge, humanoid women.
Gary, I have a question though.
Yeah.
Are you getting just as sick as I am to have every Disney Plus Star Wars on Tatooine? I'm getting literally fucking sick.
Look,
of
it
Tatooine
is the Arrakis of Star Wars.
Yeah, but
Lucas did that on purpose.
It.
So no, it's an argument that won't work with
Boba
me.
Fett.
Tatooine is where everything, is basically kind of got its start. So yeah, that they keep going back there. But I would like to see more other worlds. Because that's what George always gave us with every film. He would try to give us at least 3 different planetary types. And so it'd be jungle, forest, desert, water. He's always, going to extremes.
That's what bothers me. Why has no one come up with a parasite or a virus that actually just attacks the midichlorians, so none of them could be fucking Jedi or Sith anymore?
We just need to stop talking about. Well, midichlorians were, as Lucas later finally explained, they are not the Force. They are something that was used to measure the Force. But I'm like, if you're a Force person, you don't need that. This was an unnecessary thing that Lucas added to try to give it more of a sci-fi feeling. And I thought it was dumb because Vader said it about Luke. The Force is strong with this one. Well, how do you know that? How do you gauge it? Well, because you feel it with the Force. A person can feel how powerful another Jedi is or Force wielder. It's dumb to introduce midichlorians. It's just dumb.
I don't
redundant.
Like the pants.
What do I mean by dumb? It was redundant.
Yeah.
Is what I mean. They could already measure it through the Force. So why create it just redundant?
I don't like his pants either. The pantaloons with the high boots.
Yeah. I'm sick of all this fucking sand. Look, they're going to keep going back there because it's a popular planet. And it's that whole memberberry thing, nostalgia thing. And it doesn't get me. What I want to see is a good story. I don't care if they're woke with some of it. I really don't, as long as they fucking tell me a good story. My problem is Disney is notorious now of, doing this Trojan horse thing where they take a popular IP and load it full of their fucking garbage politics and marketing in order to sell their shit and ideology and not really placate us as fans. Every time they do it, they know it fucking irritates us. And until those people are fired and gotten rid of, we're never going to see quality Star Wars entertainment. But I'm always going to be... wait, Script Doctor said something? Lucas trying to be sci-fi instead of sci-fantasy. Yes. Exactly, Script. Exactly what I was saying. He was trying to add sci-fi to sci-fi fantasy or sci-fantasy. And it was dumb. It was redundant. It's like if you can already measure the strength of the Force through the Force by somebody who is a master of the Force, they can read the strength of another Force wielder. Yeah. So why do you have to have a barometer? It's sort of like.
Can you imagine that? Hey, look, hey, Obi-Wan, you gotta bend over. I gotta test your midichlorian.
Yeah, I know. That's what the joke I was going to go for. It's like we've got these forehead ones that we can read your temperature with, but instead we're going to go the old way and just stick it up your ass.
Yeah, we're going to go the old Republic way. Gil, bend over and hope for the best. Don't clench too hard.
Let's see what it's. YouTube meme says it's not a popular planet. It's 20 minutes away from Palm Springs. Stone Media says desert planets rule because the desert is just down the road from Hollywood. Although today they're too lazy to go outside and green screen crap. They could shoot. Yeah.
They just reused. This is literally the reused Boba Fett set.
Well, they don't even have to green screen anymore because they have that wraparound HD screen where it controls the light. In fact, when you're watching these scenes, it is really hard to tell when they're using that or when they're on a location. And I've always been pretty much an expert at spotting digital and visual effects. And Mandalorian taught me stop trying. stop trying. Stop looking. But let's get back to this. See what's going on here.
Stay hidden,
Stay hidden.
or we will not survive.
Oh my God, we're so bad. Luke Skywalker.
Leave us alone. When the time
Now, this part to me is probably the best part of the trailer, because I don't doubt for a second there was conflict between Owen and Kenobi. I have no doubt. You could see with the way Owen reacted when he was older. Oh, you listen to that crazy old man.
comes, he must be trained.
Like you trained his father?
Ooh. That's actually a good burn, man.
Yeah.
That's a hella burn. Oh, focus on her again.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Disney Plus, man. We're going to be getting into this in a little bit here when we start talking about that fucking finale for Moon Knight. I mean, I fucking got angry. That's all I'm going to say right now.
Maybe you've been looking in the wrong places. I want every...
Yeah, and here we go. Classic photo of the younger Obi-Wan.
lowlife and bounty hunter.
Was that Obi-Wan using a blaster? I didn't catch that before.
I don't think so. I've never seen him use a blaster.
That looks like Obi-Wan.
He's not the only Jedi left, though, is he? They haven't wiped out everyone yet.
To squeeze him.
Huh. If that is him, boy, they better give a good fucking reason why he's using it. I mean, he has, but he's not fond of them. But it is, once again, I got to go to one of my favorite Westerns, Quigley Down Under. The misunderstanding of not liking something and not being able to use it. And at the end, the villain makes the mistake, the main character, Quigley, doesn't know how to use a pistol. And he's fucking really good with the pistol and kills everybody. He walks up there and says, I told you I just didn't like him. Didn't say I didn't know how to use them. And that's the same thing with Obi-Wan. I'm sure he's fully adept at using a blaster, just not fond of them. He prefers a more elegant weapon.
Well, Jedi in a way are kind of like Batman, right?
All right, see, that's him with a blaster. Right there. Oh, come on.
What was this? What was it? Obi-Wan?
Oh, probe droid back there. I didn't catch that.
Okay, who was the other one with? It was who trained Obi-Wan again? I can never remember.
Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
Qui-Gon, and I'm sure Yoda played a part in it too. Oh, I hate this fucker right here. That fucking dude right there. If that's who I think it is, Indian actor.
Yeah.
He was on the first episode of the new Twilight Zone. He is a political activist and a piece of shit. I fucking can't stand this guy. A typical actor activist. He did that stupid Uber driver movie with whatever that fucking big wrestler is.
Mickey Rourke?
And Yoda trained Obi-Wan. This Qui-Gon guy was just a substitute. Of course, that's Darth Vader, but they don't want to show you too much.
I'm iffy.
Yeah, Batista, that's that cocksucker's name. I can't stand him. It's like, I played a tough guy in film, but in real life, I'm anti-gun and anti-everything.
I'm worried. But I'm always worried now. I just don't put faith in shit no more. I can't.
Man. I have no faith in this either. I'm not even, I'm going to go into it immediately expecting it to be crap. But I'm going to enjoy anything visual that they put in there that I find entertaining to watch.
Yeah. That's still you can still do that.
I will watch lightsaber battles, and I don't care who it is because I've watched how many years since 2007, 2008 when I first started watching YouTube. First thing I started looking for was YouTube fights, lightsaber fights. And geez, man, we'll see. I have no faith in it. I have about as much faith in it as I had in Paramount with Halo. So, and we saw where that got us. But here's another one that we're going to talk about. This is huge news from Mikey Sutton's Geekosity magazine. Michael Keaton plays another Batman in the Ezra Miller The Flash. Now, again, I'm reminding you, there have been rumors that the film has or may be shelved because of what's happening with Ezra Miller. What's his name? I just forgot his name.
Keaton?
No, the guy in charge.
Zaslav.
Zaslav was raging at the studio to where people were afraid for their jobs. Nobody wanted to talk. And he was threatening all sorts of things. And not to mention that a certain actor was pissed and was raging. I can't say still, I've not been given the green light. But Michael Keaton plays another Batman in Ezra Miller's The Flash. Michael Keaton returns, and of course this is by, again, Edwin Francisco. Michael Keaton returns as Batman in The Flash. However, one of them isn't Bruce Wayne. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this because a lot of people wanted the actor from Batman versus Superman. Who was that?
Affleck? Is it Snyder's?
Yeah, in Snyder's film. I'm trying to remember the actor that played him. He was in The Losers, another Marvel film. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen played the part of the Waynes in that film. And Zaslav willing to shelve a $200 million budget film. From what I heard, his rage was that high. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the fan favorite. A lot of us would like to see him come back. Even though I have issues with Zack Snyder's universe, some of the things he did, I consider it the lesser of two evils, or the better of the two. Warner Brothers is just garbage with the way they do things. And this is a Warner Brother film. This isn't... it's using Zack's Flash, but the fact is this is not a Zack-related film. So they're going back and getting Michael Keaton sort of kicking sand in Zack Snyder's face by doing that. But I think it's actually a good idea. I think it's nice to connect the multiverse of DC. I like that whole idea. And we're going to get Ben Affleck in this film too. So that makes me happy. But I think that the rumor is that a source revealed that Michael Keaton plays Thomas Wayne version of Batman as well. And that's where fans are going to be upset. Because I think all of us, I would love to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan, man. I fucking love that guy. Love that guy. You know, if I'm going to watch Zack Snyder stuff, I would like to at least have people that I enjoy in it.
Do you want to laugh?
What's that?
Do you want to laugh?
Do I want to laugh? Sure.
Yeah. All right. I'll put it down there for you.
Yeah, I only get nervous when I feel both their hands on my shoulder. Let's see. So it's no secret that the Flash movie is loosely based on the 2011 crossover comic Flashpoint. The comic was written by Jeff Johns and illustrated by Andy Kubert. The comic centered on Flash Barry Allen discovering that the world is not the same as he previously knew. He wakes up. Yeah, we know the story. We don't need this ad. Thank you. So let's get to this. Alan goes to Batman, only to discover that there is a Batman, but not the one he knows or we know. He's Thomas Wayne, the father of Bruce. In this timeline that Barry has woken up to, Bruce died instead of his parents. As far as we know, both Keaton and Ben Affleck will be playing a version of Bruce Wayne, but our insiders have informed us that Michael Keaton will also be another version of Batman, one who is Thomas Wayne. Geekosity founder Mikey Sutton discussed this months ago with Sil Abdul Papercuts. Again, remember that The Flash is loosely based on Flashpoint. Well, we know that. I'm not going to go into one of his explanations of things because it frustrates me when I read his articles. He gets into stuff and he starts pulling you into the marsh instead of keeping you on a path of where you need to go. But I'm going to remove this. Hold on a second. Remove from studio. There we go. Let's see. Flashpoint is a terrible book. Cool alternative universe, but doesn't work with the timeline of things in normal detective comics. I completely agree. It's never been one of my favorite comics. I'm not a fan of it. I didn't even like the animated version. I was not very excited by that. And that was made during the reign of the good DC cartoons from Warner Brothers. But, if it's going to happen, it's sort of like, look, man, if this thing's going to happen, I'm at least going to watch and try to enjoy it. And that's just how I've always been. I'm going to try to sit down and enjoy it. Hopefully it won't annoy me. I like a good story. I like the story told in a good way.
I tagged you on Twitter.
What's this?
I tagged you on Twitter.
You tagged me on Twitter?
All right. Happy May the 4th. I used the same image.
All right, let's pull this.
And I tagged everyone else. Still didn't tag a Star Wars.
Let's see. You bastard.
It needs it. It needs it. There you go.
I shared it. All right, there you go.
I still love Star Wars. Honestly, for me, like I said before this morning on Loki's, is Star Wars what I like? I love the vehicles. From the first time the Hoth battle starts and the AT-ATs, the AT-ATs, whatever you want to call it, all-terrain attack transports, whatever. Dude. Oh, God. Get that off the screen. Get Woo off the screen. Get that woman thing.
I was reading what he was saying.
I'm sorry. I can't stand her.
Oh. So, I am looking forward to seeing this costume back on the screen again. And, of course, the classic Batman theme used properly. So what do we got going here? You must not be... Oh, Dust Wolfen is here. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah. Actually, Chuck made a great point today, Gary. He actually said No Way Home gave them the perfect format to make a comic book movie. And they didn't run with it.
They're not smart. Look, business-wise, they're not even smart. I mean, look, you make movies based on comic books, and you're not putting comic turnstiles, carousels in movie theaters with tied-in comics to the films you're putting out. I mean, that's like a no-brainer. I mean, they just have stupid people working for them. So, but there we go. Let me look real quick. Petitions don't really do anything.
No, but it's still funny.
I'm excited about this. Mikey's comic book got released. It's been selling. Everything he puts out's been selling out. I like that. Very proud of him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems like that's it for right now. We'll talk about that later. We talked about the Obi-Wan trailer. Anything else to add to that?
$50 that it's going to turn into about that Black Inquisitor turning to the light side and either sacrificing or saving Obi-Wan so he can protect Luke, or it's going to be... Yeah, it has to be. I think there's something that's...
That's funny, Tickle Drug.
I just don't care.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not too excited about it. I canceled my fucking membership a long time ago. I watch everything through other sources. I don't pay for anything from Disney or Netflix, not until everybody's been fired that fucked everything up.
Yeah. And Disney's just digging in deeper and deeper. Like the whole, whether it's the DeSantis thing.
Yeah, Tickle Turk, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the movies that they're putting out and tied in comics to those actual films. Not the weird fucking 1 to 3 percentile groups interested, because why put them in the theater? No one's going to buy them. Well, maybe 1 to 3% of people will buy it.
But he said that, that's the thing though. Even if they're buying it, it's still 1 to 3%. We're at the point now where Zaslav might even cut off DC Comics, because guess what's happening? If you can't even sell, let's say, a woke comic book or a Trojan Horse comic book because the cover doesn't even sell people, and that's the first thing people see, you're done. You're done. And we're seeing with Jonathan Kent and the whole, let's put the whole alphabet wingding flag in his cape, or turning Green Lantern or insinuating Green Lantern is pansexual, because even though he's having sex with aliens, most of those aliens are female forms still.
What does any of that have to do with selling comic books?
It does. Exactly. There you go. But that's it. But these are the comics coming out. You're taking one characteristic and turning it to try to grab an audience that doesn't read these freaking comic books.
Well, once again, 1 to 3% of the population, and then what percentage of them are comic fans? There you go. Let's see.
I'm just done with that shit.
Oh, King's Portal, $5. Oh, thank you. For the $5, I will play you something. Here we go, because we're seeing this play out right now still, so it's fun to me. This is just for you, Kingsport, Cal.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
There you go. I made that. Not the original movie, just the overlay. There are years of comic stories out there. All you have to do is pluck, and IDW at one point was printing a lot of those for Marvel and DC. I think the contracts are gone now. I don't know if they're still doing that or not. But I love that we could get those classic comics in reprint form, and you could fill those theaters with those classic comics. Oh my God! Because I got to tell you, when I love going to a movie, I'd be buying comics left and right if they had them in there. Like, oh shit, I get all excited by that. But then again, I'm a nerd. So there you go. Well, I like those because, if you don't know how I made my money doing comics, the majority of the money I made was doing movie tie-in comics. I worked on the A-Team. I worked on the Alan Wake video game comic. That was a tie-in. It was a sidequel to what was going on in the video game. Hey, buddy.
Hey guys,
thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for the invite. Good show so far. How's it going?
Oh, it's not so bad. I got to be honest. Everybody is still a little surprised I'm doing a show tonight because I was really out of it after this weekend, man. Ren Fair wore me out, dude. I described it. It was like trying to walk around with a cane. I had to walk with a cane this weekend because my hip's all fucked up right now, and you're on uneven soil that is muddy as fuck and rocky, and you try to walk with a cane in that, and all of a sudden, man, you got a place to sit down. Everything is hardwood that you sit on, and I'm like kicking myself.
Someone needs to work on their glutes, huh?
I'm like, I really should have brought a cushion. I really should have, because as an older man, I started suffering from a certain thing that older men sometimes get from sitting on hard objects. So that flared up, and I was hurting. I wanted to choke a baby, but at the same time, I was still having a damn good time. But by the end of it, and I didn't want Deanna worn out because she had to drive all the way back to the farmhouse. And so I drove the entire trip from Mexico, Missouri, all the way back to to Joplin, which is a 4-hour drive. And so I drove the entire trip, and she was like, "Hey, she didn't want me to drive." I'm like, "No, baby, I got this." But when I got in the house, man, that dog and we went to bed. I laid down, and that dog fell asleep on me. She was as worn out as me from that trip. And what?
I was just realizing something. You notice we've been waiting a long time for the second season of Invincible to come out.
I bet you it'll be here by end of summer. bet you. Look, Hollywood helped create this monster, and now they realize the damage they did.
I don't even think they all realize it.
I think some of them do. I think some are like, you know what? We probably shouldn't have asked them to close theaters. I think that was where we fucked up first. That's the first place you fucked up. Yeah.
From the perspective of it, they're looking at the streaming model the same way video game companies look at their MMOs. Like, they make billions a year on monthly subscriptions and stuff, and on very little content in comparison to what Hollywood churns out. The reason that model works for video games and not theaters studios is because studios have this habit of trying to make a minimum of like 100 movies a year of various different budgets and degrees. That's too much expenses that a subscription can't really offset in the way that you think it can, which goes back to what I've put on Twitter. I've said on other shows, the only way you get quality is if you have, unfortunately, commercial advertisement in the show, because that allows the production to have the best show they possibly can to get the most viewers, and then they could sell that ad space for the highest dollar amount, which means that they could probably pay off either that show plus another show if it's really popular. It's an additional dip of income.
Well, it's like using the Super Bowl in a way, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Now, I want to add something quickly since you're here. This is related to the Obi-Wan stuff. We saw the new promotional poster showing Vader on Tatooine. I'm sorry, if Luke is a Force user and unable to like even control his powers and hide them, wouldn't Vader on Tatooine feel him
immediately? He felt him in the X-wing.
If he's on Tatooine,
you notice that even with the X-wing, it was in close proximity.
Fairly
and
close.
So Vader, they should absolutely. One of the things Obi-Wan should have always been doing, keeping Vader off Tatooine. And Vader, of course, doesn't want to go to Tatooine because he's Anakin inside that armor, and he hates Tatooine.
And the other part too is we don't even know if Owen knows that Vader and Anakin are the same person.
That's a good question. Well, he says you trained his dad in a way that I think.
But like this dad's dead, right? Like that's the I guess
that's a good point. Thread. Maybe he thinks he's good one. I didn't
because
think
that's
about
what
that.
I always thought with regards to the original trilogy is that Owen wanted to protect Luke so that he wouldn't die like his father did, or die like his father.
Guys, that Obi-Wan kept that from him.
And why would Obi-Wan ever share the information that Vader and Anakin are the same person? That would just make the Jedi look worse than they already are.
Oh yeah.
But also Anakin left not knowing. He only saw the burnt corpse when he left Mustafar, right?
Yeah, Obi-Wan left him to die.
So is it possible that Obi-Wan doesn't know?
Well, there's always the possibility
and that he's going to find out because of these fights?
Well, like he knows that. I mean, there's no doubt that Obi-Wan knows that Vader and Anakin are the same person. The question is how long did it take before Vader in his suit debuts and gets recognized by every planet that is intimately involved with the Empire? Like Tatooine is not really; it's an ancillary planet to the Empire, and then you have the core worlds, which are the Empirical, and so like there's a lot of variables to play around with in that story, and yeah, like you don't 100% know. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to go on something because Tickleturn was just talking about it. I've been really raving about this whole thing that they're doing with the whole Trojan horse riding. That a lot of these projects, we hear them getting greenlit, and finding out that the producers that are greenlighting these, the executives, are being told that these projects are going to be one thing, and the writer, producer, director is Trojan horsing personal politics, social politics into these things without the studio knowing. And that some of this stuff, because they're saying that Netflix is starting to crack down.
Oh, no, I've heard a bunch of things about Netflix over the last 24 hours.
Okay, what'd you hear?
I heard that basically the failure of Space Force jogged Netflix more than they expected because it's got two A-list talents in there from on the television side of things, of Steve Carell and the creator of The Office, who also worked on Parks and Recs and a couple of other shows that were all hits.
as well as John Malkovich.
As well as John Malkovich and a slew of other pretty good guest stars on that show. It was basically a show that was afraid of its premise because they were trying to mock something that they had no frame of reference to build off of to mock, because Space Force is so new. Nobody on the public sphere really understands exactly what it does, what its responsibilities are in the detail in comparison to like the Air Force or the Army or Navy or any of the other. We even have Space Command, which is technically the Space Force before Space Force, which is
Space Command has existed for a while. The Russians have had a Space Force since the late 80s going into the 90s. And even when they were financially broke, they still had a Space Force because they understood, that there was this potential of what happened in, what was that movie? Moonraker.
Yeah. Oh, for weapon in space so
but there could even be combat in space, and
so getting back to like the Netflix thing, what they're kind of realizing is, again, Netflix has lost all of its deals for majority of the IPs and the shows that popularized the service, and their entire mandate was to just create content, but they had a very terrible deal for it. So unless you were a massive name, you weren't going to be getting paid up front to make your show. You had to find the money. You then had to make the show, give it to Netflix, and then Netflix would aggregate what the view percentage was and then pay you out accordingly to that. So there's a big, and then on top of that too, because they use a binge model for their release, but they use a network model for their rating of how popular the show is, which doesn't work because people watch it in an instant and rarely go back to it unless it's really, really good. And there's only a handful out of all the original programming that did that, which would be Stranger Things, Orange is the New Black, and I think Ozarks. Those are the only three.
And by the way, I enjoyed the last season of Ozark.
Yeah,
great finale.
Terrible. Yeah.
Broke my heart.
But that's the biggest problem they're having, and that is why Amazon and Disney Plus and all the other streaming services said we're not doing the binge model. We need not only to retain subscribers, but we also need the free advertising that comes from fans talking about the show to build the audience bigger and bigger and bigger. There's a lot of great shows on Netflix that got canned after 3 seasons. That was usually the average of the run.
They do 3 seasons, then move on.
And then there's also another reason for it, which is that once you break the 3 season, you then have to renegotiate. You typically have to renegotiate
the contract. That's right.
And things get.
That's what happened to News Radio.
That's happened to a lot of shows. News
Radio had the highest ratings of any of their sitcoms at the time, and they went with Third Rock from the Sun, their lowest rated comedy, to finance it for another 2 seasons, and opted out of News Radio specifically because of the contracts.
Probably, I would not be surprised because it gets expensive now.
Without Phil Hartman.
That was also tragic, and the fights that John Lovitz and Andy Dick were on because of that afterwards. But regardless, so one of the fascinating things with television, whether it's network, cable, or even streaming service, they're given pretty much almost a locked budget, and it doesn't grow. So when there's renegotiations, they have to cut from other parts, which means that's why a show that you might like in the first 2 seasons is great, but in the 3rd season it gets more to locked locations, lots of talking and dialogue, not much action or drama or anything of that nature. It's exposition. It doesn't have the spectacle nature of what the first 2 seasons had, and that's because either the actors or the producers involved renegotiated to get more money out of the budget, and the studios don't like to actually increase budgets with every season. They just don't. So that's why some of the shows that you like in those first 2 seasons get terrible if they start going on for season 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. One of the things I will say with regards to your the Trojan horse argument, oddly enough, a lot of the shows, at least in the heyday between 2014 and up to about 2019, would be pitched with any type of social agenda involved as the selling point. Ironically, the Trojan horse aspect was best done by Matt Nix with a Disney Plus show called Turner and Hooch, where on the superficial level of it, you think it has the ideology and identity politics, and then it actually pulls the rug out from under you, and it ends up just being a very endearing show about a cop and the dog solving various cases and coming into maturity. but its biggest hampering was the fact that it was written and it felt like a show that came out in like 2007, 2008. Like it just had.
Yeah, we've seen other shows suffer from that too.
Yes,
and it's like, when was the original draft of this written? Because it really doesn't feel like a modern show. And I agree, because I watched Turner and Hooch and I actually enjoyed it.
Me too. I was really surprised by it. But I'm like, this is like classic Matt.
Yeah, I like that kid. I don't know what it is about him. I just enjoy him. He just cracks me up since he was a little
kid was okay. I think there's a lot of people that came over from the show Glee into that television show, which is a bad.
And I think that's why they thought it was going to be so woke.
Yes. The other part too is like, even though the lead was pretty good, well, unfortunately, he did not turn on the female part of the audience because he has beady eyes, kind of a lisp, not good diction. Like he has a good action body and stuff, but he just doesn't have the face of a leading man for a show of that type. And also, it was a sequel to the Tom Hanks film. It even brought back his replacement from the movie, who was in the Carl Winslow in Family Matters and whatnot. He's the mayor, and he's great in that show. But
that's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and here's the other part too. When Disney greenlit it, they had no idea it was going to be a sequel to Turner and Hooch. Like he pulled one right over on them, just like how Richard Donner pulled one over on.
So he reverse Trojan horsed them.
Yeah, he reversed. Well, he did a Trojan horse of quality over.
Yeah, I like that.
The same way that Richard Donner made Maverick the unofficial sequel to Maverick, the show.
The TV series, that's right.
And it was, I don't know which, because there's like 3 TV series of Maverick, but one of them, the one with James Garner, I guess, as the main. But yeah, like it was just that cleverness that was in there, because when you see the first 2 episodes, you have Turner's partner is a 7-month pregnant woman who's going into like gunfire things, and everybody in the show, all the characters except for the woman, are saying you should not be doing this, and she's like, no, I'm a woman, whatever. And then she gets taken hostage, and immediately after, she's like, yeah, you're probably right, I shouldn't be doing this.
I shouldn't be doing this. That actually cracked me up.
And it was brilliantly done, because it was just making fun of the ideology of what you see in the competition of the shows. So that's where I'm seeing the Trojan horse stuff going now, with a couple of friends that are pitching things, and even one of my buddies who was pitching to Netflix, and he was telling me the stories, like, yeah, they're just not taking anything anymore. Like Squid Game is unfortunately most likely going to be a one and done. They'll have season 2, which will debut.
I enjoyed it.
Unless they have something really new to present in the second season, they're not expecting it to do as well as the first.
The problem with because they've got a deal. Netflix has a deal where they've been buying a lot of South Korean projects, but a lot of them are in the community. They're putting them way up front, which is what's been hurting them, because devout Christian people, I'm not one, but I get it when I hear my Christian friends bitching. Every time I go to Netflix, I have to wade through all this shit to get to what I want to see. And I don't want to see that stuff. And they won't let us, because this is what we used to have with Netflix way back.
A search bar?
The way back machine. We had a search bar, and on top of that, we had the ability to create lists, actual playlists.
Yeah. Well, the reason they got rid of that is because you weren't, as a user, looking at all the other new stuff. It was kind of making it
then here's where they fuck up. They start putting some of that new shit that offends some people. And whether it offends them or not, I don't give a shit. I notice that they placate people in the Middle East with Netflix, but they can't seem to placate people here in the United States.
That's why I subscribe to Crave, because I get bits and pieces of everything that's on there.
I won't tell you who I subscribe to, because it's
Fat Steven Seagal.
It's not legal.
Well, Mr. Trunk makes a great point here. It wasn't written over a decade. It was actually written about 20 years ago, and it was shopped around for a decade, and nobody wanted to buy it. And then Netflix got there, and I think it was co-financed by another studio before Netflix actually got involved. But
and I need to go back to something real quick here. Kingsport, I didn't get you a video. I wanted to thank you for the $5. So I'm going to give you sad Toby Emmerich. Guy.
I'd buy that for $1.
In fact, you bought it for $5. Thank you, King's Protocol.
I do have one thing to ask since we have Script here. Script, have you been following Moon Play?
Oh, unfortunately, yeah.
So we can try to talk about the last episode that was not only the shortest but the most common denominator with Disney programming.
This falls into that thing again, the Trojan horse.
No, I wasn't talking about Trojan horse. I was trying to say their whole format of build up, wait till the end, and then the end isn't even worth it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about, though. With the it's not what you're talking about. I'm talking about the Trojan horse.
I know. I want to finish my sentence. I want to finish my question. I literally opened up.
He looks like he's signed up for a good question. Let's hear it. Yeah.
And we're getting this format of like mini series of Anna Green Gables. That's what I'm thinking it is now. Is pretty much wait for this, wait for that, wait for this. We got a show literally like Hawkeye wasn't even about Hawkeye. We got more Hawkeye in it. We're now on a show about Moon Knight, and we got 15 to 60 minutes of Moon Knight, the character name of the show. And then we're getting the female Egyptian Falcon now coming in. Sorry, I hate to be a dick about this.
That's
we
what
get
you
Moon
want.
Knight,
like Mummy's Alive.
Yeah, I love that show. And there was earlier we had Moon Knight flying like an X-wing for sakes.
Well, he's Poe Dameron. That's Disney.
It was bad.
I enjoyed the first episode. The second episode, I understood you're introducing this character, and that's really an introduction episode. Episode 3 was pretty good too, but after that, they just started kind of tumbling all over the place.
Episode 5 should have been episode 3.
Yeah,
I was really fucking so annoyed that they once again, the hero can't be the hero.
Well, Gary, it's a Trojan
The hero
horse,
can't
right?
be the hero. He can't handle the villain, and has to have somebody else help him. We've already got at least known 2 characters within him that could fight him, but that's not enough. We got to bring in girl hero, and I'm like, look, man, if you waited for this until the 3rd season, it would have been fine. But you had to go all fucking broke with the woke in this episode.
To build off your Trojan horse allegory, I think another one that would work well is it's like Helen of Troy, the movie, where it's not really about Helen of Troy. It's about the 2 people fighting over her, but she's the title character, right? Like that's kind of what it is. It's not really about Moon Knight. It's just about people kind of fighting around him.
And that's really what it felt like. Yeah. And he kept getting his ass handed to him. And I'm like, there's a certain point when you're watching a program about a hero where you see them get their ass handed to them, where you start questioning, I don't think the writer of this show gives 2 shits about this character. This is not the character they're focused on, because they keep putting them in this position of getting their ass handed to them and not being able to handle situations. And that was where I got angry watching the finale.
Well, I can tell you exactly why we're seeing that more in droves as opposed to how we saw it traditionally. So there's this rule in screenwriting, which is that never make things easy for your main character, right? So you want to make sure that whatever obstacle they're going up against, it's a difficult one, so that when they achieve it, the victory, the catharsis, it really resonates with the character and the audience. But the writers that are trying to do that today don't understand that rule. They just decide, we'll just have to have him beat up and humiliate. It's like, that's not the thing. It's about him overcoming that. So you can knock him down, but he eventually has to rise to the occasion.
Well, it's the same thing.
Rise to the occasion and overcome.
It's the same thing with Hawkeye. Because Keith and I have gone into this ad nauseum, how they had an opportunity to tell the backstory of Hawkeye and didn't bother. They wanted to focus on this other character. It was the bait and switch thing that Disney keeps doing. And Disney, because I don't know if you read what I said today over my profile. I'll find it again real quick.
Well, while you're doing that, I want to quickly add in. I want to share this. It's 4 images put together, and this comes from our friend Matt Kaddish, and it's the Wonder Woman plagiarism.
Yes.
Are you an Egyptian superhero? I am. Why does a goddess of fertility rejuvenation manifest its avatar as a deadly warrior? I bang them when they're not asking. Stop asking questions and just worship me for being here.
That's funny. That's funny. I like
they
that
literally
one.
copied Wonder in 1984. They literally
Well, they
did.
did. Here, I'm going to show this real quick.
Go for it.
My short comment. Kevin Feige just couldn't follow the comic books and tell a Moon Knight story. He had to sprinkle in the typical Trojan horse Disney pixie dust and unicorn claptrap. Feige is a chicken shit liar. And that's how I felt by the end of Moon Knight. And this is the first time I've gotten angry.
Wow. I mean, this is...
Because Moon Knight was a favorite character of mine.
Well, you must have loved the Doug Mensch stories on them. But this
I read them all the way to 83.
This is just funny for me because it just further reinforces that I have a good judge of character when it comes to Hollywood, because everybody was praising Kevin Feige, and I'm like, he's not the key architect of the success of Marvel. He's a pivotal player, but he's one of a team, and he does what producers do, which is he takes as much credit as he possibly can because he can roll that over and exchange that for more jobs and more productions and build. But this is actually the double-edged sword of the fan base. You love to have fans that support you and love your work and everything, but the moment that you as a fan start to elevate the person you're a fan of to a point of a religious following, you end up creating a hubris with them where they then turn out garbage. And we've seen it all the time. Like even Christopher Nolan, Tenet failed. And
wait, does that fall into the Zack Snyder sycophants as well?
Definitely. I mean, sheesh, you criticize Zack Snyder and they take it so personally, but they overreact.
Let's get into that
like
because
that's in denial. Like
you did that. You did a proper criticism.
Yeah.
And I was one of them that jumped in there to stand with you going, fuck you, man. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. You're trying to have this is like a child arguing with an adult is how I saw
Some of them are older than me, which is even funnier.
It's like they don't fucking know what they're talking about. They only know they love something. I love it to the point of losing my fucking mind.
Which I don't berate them for. I think it's great that they love it. I broke through almost to one of them when I said because in the climax of Man of Steel they have the world builder and then the spaceship, and they have to work together in order to terraform Earth into Krypton.
Actually, that was one of my favorite moments in the film.
And it's like, oh, it's a binary system. And so you have two options. You have one where it's in the Indian Ocean and it's unpopulated. There's nobody around being attacked or harmed by this world builder directly. And then you have the one in Metropolis, which is a densely populated city. And we're seeing cars and people being hurled into the air and then smacked down to the ground violently. And Superman goes for the easy attack in the Indian Ocean when everything of his core character would say, no, he would go to Metropolis to try and get those people out of its gravity field harm and then try and destroy it from there because it's populated city, right? Like that's what Superman does. There's people to save. And then I'm getting counter arguments saying, well, it's easier for him to do that. It's like, again, back to screenwriting 101, never make anything easy for your hero. And on top of that, let's say you do set the scene in there where he has to rescue those people. So let's have, say, some other Kryptonians come out to try and stop him. You have all these extra variables that just make it more thrilling to have the very set pieces people want, which is Superman fighting other Kryptonians and not just a one-on-one with Zod and all that other stuff. And then you also have like what Lois and the army is trying to set up the Phantom Zone projector from his spaceship to like zap them all back into the Phantom Zone. So you have all these things working in place, but you keep it very intimate within Metropolis. And so when he finally succeeds, you have that cathartic moment that you want. And then the other question I always threw up that was going through my head, especially when I was watching the movie, was why does a terraforming device have a massively elaborate defense mechanism? Because it suggests that Kryptonians were basically conquering inhabited worlds and reformatting them to their own desires and to hell with the species, which seems kind of very evil for that type of society, which was not presented that way in that first 40 minutes of the movie, right? Like there's a lot of red herrings and questions in that part. And one person was actually thinking, yeah, it'd be more of a challenge, but it's not strategically advantaged. And I'm like, but that's why he's Superman. It doesn't matter. He doesn't think of this as cold hard facts. the argument of he saved the entire planet. It's like he saved the entire planet at the expense of those thousands of people in Metropolis. That is a military method of strategy out of desperation, as opposed to Superman trying to do everything he can to stop them. Because Gary would know this, and anyone else who served the military, when you do have statistics like that, you have to distance yourself, because you're thinking of, these people are going to die, but it will save.
It's the line from Star Trek.
Yeah. It's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one, and it's cold and calculating, but it's something that's antithetical to Superman, because to him life is precious, and we get an establishment of that because he saves the bus full of kids as a child because it was the right thing to do, and even at the risk of exposing his secrets. But the other part that you also have to consider is if he listened to his dad and he didn't do anything and he was the only survivor, there's way more scrutiny about why he's the only survivor, as opposed to everybody in the bus who survived has no idea how they survived, and they have no explanation for it. All they see is Clark at the back of the bus, and there's so many areas of doubt to say, the water must have knocked him out, and then the bus would probably hit a current to go and carry itself up onto the coast or whatever. But if he's the only survivor, you're going to have way more investigation, way more questions. People are going to be wondering. He's going to be examined by doctors to find out, like, how did he not drown with all the others? Like, and they're also going to see, like, well, did he cause the accident because he's the only one that survived? Like, there's
exactly. This is all logic issues.
Exactly.
In the writing. And I got told once, seriously, I got told this once, you're overthinking when you're writing. And I went, no. Because there's going to be one asshole watching the movie, if I wrote it, that's going to ask that fucking question.
And the goal is, what can you do to either circumvent the question or bring in some sort of entertaining value so that it addresses the question and doesn't make the audience aware of that question? Kind of like the conversation between Zod and Clark in that dream sequence, where Zod's argument is to convince Kal-El to join him. So why would he manipulate his surroundings to have Kal-El drown in a sea of human skulls? Like, how does that benefit his argument to get Kal-El on his side? Like, should he be conniving and like appealing to his things? Like, no, we'll just corner out our own section of Earth to live on, and we'll let humanity be fine, and then string
find out
along.
He's lying.
Yeah, that's what you do, but it's very superficial, on the nose stuff. Very David S. Goyer when he doesn't have someone to rein him in.
No, I won't argue with you there, because
I mean, I'm willing to listen to any great coherent argument that isn't he saved the entire planet. Zod's not just going to stand there and let him do stuff. It's easier to fight the world engine in the Indian Ocean than it is in Metropolis. Those types of things. It just doesn't.
Well. The other thing
straw man. Those are men of straw arguments, as opposed.
Can I ask a question though? Yeah. Let's say he is fighting this stuff over the Indian Ocean, and that thing kept going. I haven't watched the movie in a while.
I've only seen
one. Let's put it this way. Let's say if he didn't destroy it, would it have any effect of causing tidal waves that would wipe out more lives if those waves hit the surrounding areas or populations?
Possibly. Very great. That's a great.
Anything that causes any type of seismic activity.
Yeah,
but
that is a great
change. Yeah.
So
yeah, there's also the fact of volcanic activity, depending how far the laser goes down and what it's doing to the seabed.
And the core. So
yeah,
this is what I'm talking about. These are the types of questions I love when you're discussing whether it's a good movie or bad movie. So you have a scenario where in the Indian Ocean, the world builder is doing something that's causing tidal waves and interference. So now you have what we can equate to a tsunami warning, right?
Yeah.
So we know with tsunamis, we have warnings. We know about evacuations. You know that you have actually a bit more time for people to mobilize compared to, say, a sudden earthquake or strike within a densely populated city, right? So that's your teetering Lieber scales, if you will. So when you're given those scenarios, it's like, okay, what can you do? Well, Indian Ocean is the Indian Ocean. It's going to have a tidal wave. You've got time because, again, velocity of water takes a while to move somewhere. And then versus, there's the spaceship over Metropolis doing stuff immediately there.
Well,
I mean, I wouldn't even have a scene where. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Script 2004, December 26th, a 9.1 magnitude earthquake, Indian Ocean, and the tectonics. It caused that massive destruction. So that they could have actually used that as a reference point. If they actually hit a fault line within the Indian Ocean and it caused a tsunami from an earthquake, it would have devastated a lot of shit. And that almost 170,000 people were killed.
There you go. So that's a great argument, right?
Right there.
So then what you do is you go back into those statistics. How long between the time of the earthquake to the time of the impact on the shoreline, and then those things, right? So you play around with that. The other part too is
20 minutes of the earthquake. Within 20 minutes of the earthquake.
20 minutes. Okay, so that's a great thing. So here's something awesome. So there's an episode of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman called Shockwave.
Yep.
And it's making fun of basically the Deep Throat story and Woodward and Bernstein stuff. And what happens is it creates a tsunami. And so what Superman does is he immediately flies and creates an underwater trench to prevent the tsunami from happening. And it only takes him about like a minute to do. So that's immediately one of the things that he could have done, because again, this is a guy who can circumnavigate the globe pretty quickly. So if he's like, oh, this is going to cause a tsunami here, but there's stuff happening in Metropolis, he then can go on basically a roundabout way, which is like, I'll create an underwater trench to circumvent the tsunami that's hitting there and fly back to Metropolis to try and rescue as many people as possible. And then that also buys massive amount of time for everybody on the Indian Ocean side of things. And it also shows, because here's the other part too that has to be considered. For Superman, it's the intent. Right. So if he's trying to save people individually and in groups and whatnot, and he's making an effort for that because he's terrified of needless loss of life, that is noble, that is heroic. But if he ignores it, or if he doesn't show any sort of means to acknowledge it or care, and he's just singularly focused on fighting like one thing, that shows selfishness as opposed to selflessness. And that's a character issue with regards to the character.
Because they use the same kind of tsunami thing when we're looking at the Kevin Spacey Superman, and the fact that he threw the kryptonite mixed with the earth terrain and created that whole new part of land. And with that, it did cause a tsunami that had Metropolis in jeopardy.
And
so
Superman had to go through there and stop make all those quick rescues.
Yeah. So that's the best thing though. So like the fact is, if they could have looked through a little bit of history and used an actual event, and then adapted it to what they're trying to push with why this or that. And that's
as opposed to just looking strictly at 9/11 and just replicating that in Metropolis. Over.
Can't wait for Superman to save us from the next insurrection. Let's go.
But I mean, there's so many other parts too. Like, what's the other argument? Superman could never have imprisoned Zod, so he'd have to have killed him. It's like, okay, that's a fair argument, but Zod doesn't learn to fly in that fight for a while. And Superman already does, so why can't Superman body hug Zod, fly him into the emptiness of space, and then hurl him into the black?
Find a way to get back into the Phantom Zone.
Wait. Just hurl him away, and then have like Darth Vader's TIE fighter spinning, and then return to Earth because he hasn't learned to fly yet. So then that gives you this great cliffhanger, which is, if we do a sequel, Zod could come back because he's going to find a planet, or he lands on like a moon at Mars or Jupiter.
But what happens? Script. Sorry, I'm going to catch up. But what happens then? Let's say Clark does throw him into space, but the trajectory's off and throws him closer to the sun and recharges his abilities a lot faster.
Well, he still has to learn how to fly, right? So he hasn't learned how to fly yet.
Well, if he has the desperation to try to get back, you know what I mean, fight or flight, what if that triggers him to learn to fly?
Absolutely. So that's the question. It's like, here's the other part too. So, great question. So Superman has already been told at this point by his holographic dad that, the sun and Earth's atmosphere fuel him. So he should be having that in mind. It's like, I'm just going to throw him away from the sun towards Pluto. and because the idea is that you want that dramatic thing. And I'll pose this as like a possible speculative sequel. Okay. So let's say that, yes, Clark throws Zod in the early parts of that fight. Clark throws Zod into space, and he's flying and he's hurtling away, and the movie's fine, and Metropolis is destroyed, and he's a legitimate hero and whatnot. So then you have the opening of Man of Steel 2, and it takes place on the ice planet of Pluto, and it's Zod there practicing and trying to learn how to fly. And then once he learns how to fly, he doesn't just go straight to Earth. He starts practicing like throwing stuff in the air and then hitting it, then flying up to it, hitting it down, like just really training and honing his skills. And then one second, and then once he finally gets it like under his control, where he's capable, he leaves Pluto and he just screams Kal-El, and then that takes you into your opening credits, and then boom, now you have to start. Your movie.
That is brilliant. But can I adapt a little bit of that?
Go for it.
Okay, let's say that he's still trapped on Pluto, and that brings in Brainiac and his ship. And then it brings in a whole new colony that have been trapped by Brainiac, and he makes a deal.
Sure, why not? Because the other part too, we can just pull this off straight from Batman v Superman, is that the world builders have created little pieces of kryptonite, and the subplot of the film is Lex Luthor is working with the government to contain Superman with this magic rock. But when Zod shows up, it's like, what do I do? Do I go after Superman, who, I hate? But Zod is far more dangerous, so I'm going to have to team up with Superman to get Zod into this kryptonite handcuffs, right? And then put him into a prison underground where he can't get sunlight, and they try to synthesize more kryptonite,
Or you can actually have it differently, and it was no Batman and Wonder Woman, and you really have Zod and Superman team up against Doomsday.
Could do that also. Why not?
I'm sorry. I'm being a kid right now.
The idea is, how do you get the more potential? And on top of that, too, I like Michael Shannon. I have no problem giving him another job.
Yeah, he's a complete fucking psycho, but he's a good actor. But he's really, I got to tell you, I've seen him in roles that were meant to be comedic. He's not fucking funny.
He's not.
He's too serious. Like, why does he keep getting cast in comedies? That man should never be put in a comedy. He looks like he wants to fucking murder you all the fucking time. There's no scene in a movie or TV show I've seen him in where it doesn't look like he doesn't want to kill somebody.
Oh, and for Das Wolfen, to your question, well, first of all, Pluto is not necessarily an airless environment. If he's melting and breaking up ice, that's particulate, which allows sound to travel.
Yeah, they act like there aren't gases in space. The fact is, you can create gases in space.
And he's just screaming that as he's leaving the very thin atmosphere of Pluto, whatever. Like, he's probably even making an atmosphere because he's using his heat vision on all the ice and stuff. Like, there's lots of stuff going on there. It'll be temporary. It's gonna escape to the outer space very quickly, but.
And I want to point out right now, a very good friend of mine is on here, Christopher. We're very good friends. He's been on TGIF before, and he's a filmmaker. And boy, I would love to get him back on again. I love seeing you, Christopher. I'm glad you dropped in, man. Thanks, dude. It's good seeing you.
Nice. There's also another thing too. Like, let's say he does get hurled towards Pluto, and it has the remnants of the first, let's say, scout ship that came from Krypton, and it's damaging and has a partially working terraformer. From there, he can at least create his own like bubble. It's like from Dragon Ball Z in the training capsule ship, and from there, Zod can figure out his next strategy. And because of him activating that terraformer, it actually signals Brainiac that there's outside technology that's not of this system. And then I'm sorry, I'm being
it's just another signal based off of the initial ones from Man of Steel, right? So it's just like he's seeing a pattern. It's instead of it being a fluke, it's like, oh no, there's a pattern now. And
so and honestly, I will never forgive them for what they did to Doomsday. Doomsday, the whole comic book, I still have the sealed one with all the stick. What they did to Doomsday, I will never forgive them for, because Doomsday was one of those things that is a movie in itself, because Doomsday is the only thing that has killed Superman, and it didn't need Batman, it didn't need Wonder Woman. I'm
still trying to figure out how Wonder Woman knows Superman's name is Kal when they actually have no spoken real interchange with each other in that Doomsday fight. Like, there's so much. But these things, I might be able to. We're working it out. But I was talking with Sil Adul over at Scoop Center with Mike and Mikey Sutton's thing. So I might be talking with that on his channel one day soon if schedules work out, because I like those guys. Though they're fun. They get some great scoops, and they got some great discussions, and they are great fans of their stuff. They don't actually, use ad hominem towards people that disagree with them, and that's nice. And they don't like some of the stuff that I like, but we just get along. That's perfectly normal.
And it's funny you brought it up, Doomsday, because I pointed something out because Buster Gold has been brought up.
Booster Gold?
Yeah, Booster Gold was brought up because apparently they're not going to make this version, and they had gotten what's his name from Scrubs?
The guy from Scrubs, yeah.
Yeah,
for
I
Legends of
fucking
Tomorrow.
love that guy, and it's like even though I don't like race
Zachary?
swapping, I fucking love that kid.
No, the
Oh,
black guy.
Oh,
He was Booster Gold, yeah.
Oh, and but the fact is Doomsday was created by Dan Jurgens, who created Booster Gold.
Yeah.
And who basically would pitch every year for 4 years straight. So let's kill Superman this year.
Let's kill Superman this year.
Yeah,
I would love to see a zombie Doomsday. Like, I know it sounds like a tropish thing, but can you imagine someone resurrecting Doomsday, and you have like you have like a cyborg Superman and all this shit just going like this? Do something that would just be out of this world, but make sure the story made sense. And I think they've forgotten to just be kids in their creation.
Yeah, there's so the first cartoon Doomsday movie that they did. There's a documentary on that. There's actually one of the best Superman documentaries I've seen for the character in the comics at the time, because the whole Doomsday storyline came about because Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman was on the air, and they wanted to line up the wedding episode with the comic book wedding for Lois and Clark, but they couldn't because they wanted to do that in season 4. And they were, I think, in season 2 at the time. So they decided, the comics were like, well, we have to delay the wedding arc. So let's just kill Superman, because they were pitching all these other ideas and they couldn't do that. And the entire team of the DC writing staff for Superman at that time is in a room pitching ideas and pitching their perspectives and talking about the emotional repercussions of Superman dying between Lois, between the Kents, between all the friends, all the other characters. And they're coming at it in a way that you will not recognize comic book writers today talking about it. You will not recognize Jeff Johns ever talking about characters like this. Not recognize Grant Morrison talking about characters like this.
They forgot.
Slott, all those people, you'd never see them. They would never even think to approach
because
that.
No, they don't add soul to these characters anymore. They don't add a human aspect. Even though if they're aliens, they're not adding the human aspect. The human aspect is what I call the ability to have a personality on paper, and that is lost. Chuck actually brought that up to as well. I'm sorry to go reference.
Oh yeah,
Chuck.
no, that was a great interview you did. So
thank you. And
it was okay. It was okay.
Oh my God, he is so salty. But
right.
I grew up on Superman, and especially Lois and Clark. I love that series. And it's everything that was in that is not what we're getting now. As much as people didn't like Brandon Ruth, I like some of the things from Brandon Ruth. I did. There was some great aspects, and I think Spacey was an okay Luthor for certain points.
He was an okay Hackman Luthor, yeah.
That's exactly what he was doing. He was doing Hackman's Luthor.
But it's just at the point now where they need to stop making Batman films. They need to stop making Wonder Woman. They need to stop making Flash. They need to stop making up all the ones everyone knows and do something. Like they have this, what is it, the Icon series, where they have all the multiracial heroes that are not even being touched. You want to be inclusive.
Milestone Comics, yeah, Icon.
Yeah,
great. I would kill writing for an Icon story, because oddly enough, that's another one where Rocket is kind of more of the main character, because she's helping Icon be a hero, and Icon is the stronger one, but it works in tandem with them. They're going through their own stuff at that moment, and they create this beautiful friendship and trust between each other, and it's a great little story, a little eccentric at times, but that's okay. But I would love to see an Icon film and series, because it deals with a lot of the subject matters that the woke think is valuable, but it does it with such nuance and maturity and understanding and debate and philosophy that it would drive them nuts.
It's like they're like, there's an opportunity out there. I don't know who owns the rights still. It's like, I would like to see, Zack Snyder needs, let's say Zack Snyder go away. I would give Zack Snyder, let's say, Captain Power.
And the Soldiers of the Future? Yeah.
He would have a chance to do what he, like with slow-mos, he would have a chance to do something great. I wouldn't let Michael Bay touch it. Yeah, it is right up his alley. Like, he needs to do something like Captain Power.
Well, they need to give him comics to adapt.
Well, the only awards he's gotten is from direct adaptations of comic books. 300
and he's
and Watchmen.
good at directly adapting the source material, and he needs to just kind of stick to that. That's his thing, because he doesn't understand Superman as a character.
He also doesn't talk much with his actors. That's one thing. A lot of some of the people I have met that have worked with him have noticed that he doesn't. He'll give them action direction, but he won't give them a direction on emotion or motivation or empathy or any of the other stuff that is required for performance, which is why you've never heard an actor say, "Oh yeah, he really got a great performance out of me." Like you've heard like Richard Dreyfuss say that about Spielberg. Like I never knew I could act this way until I met Steven Spielberg or something of that nature. Same thing with Martin Scorsese. And
Yeah,
Robert
because you
De
wouldn't
Niro.
say that about Lucas.
You can't say that about Lucas. Unfortunately,
Lucas doesn't know how to work with actors. He hates working with them.
I hate sand.
He hates people. I mean, he doesn't hate people. He hates people in general, but he likes individuals. But
He's an absolute introvert who loves to do this, and it's a problem. It's the same thing that I ran into because I was in film school and I made a short film, and I realized I really fucking hate actors. I hated my editor. He was a heroin addict, and he was always fucking late. And I had to, I had a van, I had a minivan. And I had to pick up everybody for the crew because if I didn't, they wouldn't show up. And
well, I mean, that's a struggle with a lot of indie and semi-professional films. So,
so I had my fill. I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm just going to do comic books.
The other part too, and this is something how you can tell of a very good director, which is that when they are talking about their film, they don't jump from various thoughts to thought. They stay very focused on first idea, and then they segue that into another idea. I was recently tagged in several interviews of Zack Snyder, and not once does he actually stay focused on a single idea. He interrupts with ums like, "Oh, I didn't want to do that," and then he'd be bouncing from ideas before completing the thoughts, which shows that he wasn't maybe fully.
I've caught Quentin doing that shit too.
Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, he did that a lot in the earlier years. I haven't heard him so much in the most recent.
I don't listen to too much of his interviews anymore. It was like, when he was early on,
he was all over the place because I think he was just really still hopped up on his cocaine at the time. He doesn't interview on drugs anymore these days. He only writes on drugs. But yes, Zack Snyder, he keeps jumping from different ideas, not forming complete thoughts. Sometimes the interviewer has to help him reach that conclusion, which it just begs the question: was he really paying attention to the movie as a whole, like a director's supposed to, or was he just compartmentalizing the scenes that are cool, which, don't get me wrong, a lot of them are cool scenes on their own. But one of the things that I kind of noticed, and I remember this going frequently, especially when Batman v Superman first debuted, and then it went on Blu-ray, and the warehouse fight scene on YouTube, people were commenting on that, saying, "This is the only thing I ever watch. I can watch this scene and not have to see the rest of the movie." And I'm like, that's not a good thing, because think of like The Empire Strikes Back. If you see just the first fight, part of the fight sequence in the carbon freezing chamber between Luke and Darth Vader, how many of you are going to try and figure out, oh, I need to watch this whole movie from the beginning at some point today or in the near future because that scene is so cool? It's because the scene has is being fueled by all the emotion that is built up to that. And one of the best things I learned from a really reputable fight choreographer years ago, which is that he says fight choreography is very, very easy. The only trick is to be able to connect everything that came before the fight to factor into the fight so it resonates with the audience. And if only people are watching the fight and not the rest of the movie, I, as a fight choreographer, had done a better job than the director and the writer of the film. And that's not good.
Is it good from a Star Wars fan? If, let's say, like I was talking about Hoth, I don't know if you hear, I'm drawn in more to like the AT-ATs and the X-Wings.
Yeah.
Is that saying that, is that the same type of thing, or is that different based on because of my personal preference that I prefer the space battles over, like, say, lightsaber duels?
Yeah, well, I want to go back to that too, because you said something and I wanted to point out that was my reaction to The Phantom Menace, because I couldn't stand the film.
Yeah. So a fight choreography works on different principles to, say, a special effects or a stunt choreography, right? So if you're looking between, say, a dogfight in space, that doesn't require like a martial arts or stunt choreographer or sword choreographer. That requires a different person. But they do come at it from the same mentality. It's the emotion that's surrounding that, because again, the fight is a result of all these other factors that have been played out so far in the movie, right? So we get to this point because it's a natural progression of the story, the characters. There's a conflict that has to be overcome. So you want it to be really striking and resonating, and we want it to be informed based on everything we've seen before. the fight in like say the opening act of Empire with the AT-AT walkers, the snow speeders, all that stuff. It's all out of desperation for the rebellion to get away. There's something really like raw in that. It's like we have to hold these guys off so that our people can get away. We're probably going to die, but we need them to get away so that we can keep on fighting for another day. And Darth Vader just says, like, I want Luke Skywalker. I want to get these rebels. I want to crush the rebellion. I want revenge for the Death Star. And I want to know how the heck this kid exists and blah, 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 all that other stuff. So there's all these compound things going on. Conversely, with Batman v Superman, it's an isolated fight. It's fueled by a lot of rage on Batman's side. It's very perplexing as to why he even attacks them when on the floor above is where his goal is and there's fewer men. Batman's kind of a stealthy character. He doesn't like to charge in for a fight. He likes to, get his bearings and then achieve his mission. But this, again, in Batman v Superman, it's a very, very different Batman. But if you can watch that scene and not want to watch the rest of the movie, that says more about how bad the movie is than it does about how great that scene is. And that's kind of one of the things that you want to make sure as a writer, as a director, as a stunt choreographer, as an actor, as a cinematographer, you don't want to have that disconnect. You want everything to be so linked and threaded through so that any clip you see of a film online tantalizes you enough to be like, I got to make some time to watch that in its entirety. That's the goal. Not everybody achieves it. It's a very difficult thing to do. That's why you have this huge divide between like the greatest movies ever made out of the tens and tens of thousands that have ever been made since the start of the film industry. So it's a very tricky thing to do. Whenever I'm put in situations where I have to write that, that's all I'm thinking about. Is like, how do I make sure that this scene about these two people at a dinner scene reflects and feeds into the emotion of the big climax at the end and doesn't feel like a superfluous exposition dump.
Yeah, and it was said in the chat too, and I liked that it was pointed out. Shanatsky, usually I tell Shanatsky to shut up, but Shanatsky's right this time. The conflict is really part of the storytelling.
Yes.
And one of my favorite fight scenes is the fight between Tyrone Power and Basil Rathbone in The Sword of Zorro.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such... I mean, you've been building to this conflict, and he's played the fool for long enough to where he is now ready to reveal who he really is, and ends up in this final fight. And I mean, I still get really emotional over that scene, but I'm also caught up in the fact that I still don't know how they pulled off stabbing him when Tyrone stabs him, because that blows my fucking mind.
I thought it was
because he's fighting and then he stabs him, and I'm like, holy shit, how did they do that? I know there had to have been something in the way they cut it. I know it.
I think it's part of the cut, and I think the sword's not retractable, but I think the hilt is hollow, and the blade goes into the part of his sleeve, up his sleeve.
I'm guessing, because
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how they did it.
It looks like he really stabs him.
Well, because it goes into a padded piece of his clothing, so it looks like it penetrates. It actually rips in that shot.
Yeah.
And I think it goes into a padded
and blood,
piece.
When he retracts, blood starts to come out, and it's still one of my favorite sword fights in the history of cinema. It's always been a tie between that and, honestly, as much as I don't like Phantom Menace, the sword duel in that is absolutely tied.
Oh, the 2-on-1 with Darth Maul? Yeah.
With Darth Maul. I think that no Star Wars film to date or show has equaled the gravitas of that fucking fight.
I don't know. I think the fight with Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi, where Luke actually loses it and then starts hitting him, and Vader's on the defensive.
For me, I believe that's the score.
It's just not as fancy. I would say it's not as fancy, but it's more raw to the emotions.
Well, it's very emotional, but again, I'm going to say I believe that John Williams' score
definitely adds to it.
Led us through that fight to feel what we feel.
Y'all are both wrong. The horse scene when Moon Knight was getting stabbed by pieces of wood that looked like not real stabs in his armor. If you actually look, Gary, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It literally looked like there was no holes, no nothing.
I gotta tell you, man. I think this is a good ending point. It's been a great show. Script. Thanks for dropping in with us because it's usually this is just Steve and me blowing off steam.
Well, yeah, but
Gary broke his
a
rule.
great show. I catch it whenever I can. It was great that I caught it live today.
Well, we hardly ever see you, and that's why we broke the rule.
I appreciate. Well, the thing is, like Gary, I'm working on some other stuff that's taking up some time. So,
yes, I know, and
so I want to get that all sorted out as quickly as possible, so I can get back to doing some more panels and some more YouTube videos again. And and you guys in the chat have always been awesome. So I appreciate that. And on top of that, we're getting great weather in my area, so I really need to go out and get some sun because I am ghostly white.
You're one of them nerds that hides in a cave. You're a cave nerd. Well, it just means a lot to see you on here, buddy, because I tell people you and I are really good friends, and I think sometimes people go, "No, you're not." Yes, we are. We're very good friends.
Yeah,
we enjoy each other so much that we have spent too many hours on a phone call.
I do miss talking to him more frequently, and I'm sorry I'm talking like you're not here, Pat Steven. I don't talk
to I'm not here.
You as much as I want to, but his channel was blowing up, and I was so
I
proud
had to
of him for
delete.
that.
I actually had to delete all the convoy stuff.
Yeah, it's really sucks because I was terrified with his channel growing the way it was. Because I'm like, when this controversy ends, when this story ends, where's that going to leave him? And he'll tell you, I was having a lot of private talks because I was worried, because I don't want him to go negative. It's always be moving forward, as Walt Disney said. Yeah. And he'd be rolling his fucking grave with what they've done to his company.
Are you kidding? His head is probably spinning like Beetlejuice's right now in that frozen.
The problem is with covering all the convoy shit. It's not that I wanted to remove all the streams. I backed it all up on Rumble. But the fact of the matter is ever since the convoy stuff started and ended, it has stagnated my channel into confusion, whether it's through the algorithm or because it doesn't fit YouTube's whatever.
Algorithm is the problem with YouTube is it keeps changing.
20% notifications,
it keeps
Gary.
Changing the goal lines. And it's very fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and end on a positive note.
Thank you for the kind words.
I think we all hated Moon Knight.
It was a disappointment. Disappointment.
I don't get angry at shows very often. I got angry. But I got to tell you, after watching that piece of shit, I went back and watched the final episode of Ozark. And that's how you win a show. That is some seriously good work on Ozark. It's just, what a great show. I'm sorry it ended. I'm sorry it didn't. It was, God, why do they end such great shows like that? I felt like it could have gone on for another 3 or 4 years. But
Gary, I'm going to recommend you watch the anime, even if you don't like it. Even script. It's called Fire Force. Picture people that can control flames, and they actually put out other flames, and people that can spontaneously combust and turn to demonic infernals.
That sounds very anime.
By the way, Keith is in the chat, and Keith, I got to tell you, man, up to episode 3, I was giving it a chance. Moon Knight. I was not happy that they changed stuff that was in the comic, but I'm like, let's see where they're going with this. And then when I saw where they were going with it, I'm like, Kevin Feige, you fucking lying piece of shit. You're a liar. He's a fucking liar. Everything he said about that show was a lie. And he set it up for failure, and I fucking hate what they did in that finale. Just
Lauren Schuler Donner needs to take over.
And I have problems with her. I really do.
Me too, to a degree, but the thing is, she cares more about the money than the message.
Yeah, because she doesn't care about comics.
No.
But what I was hoping, I would love to see Kevin Feige embrace actually good comics instead of the shitty ones that he always picks to adapt.
There also might be a mandate from Disney with that regards, because the more current stuff is less of a legal hassle than the best stuff.
They're still in a fight with the states too, right? So they're stuck between a rock and their fucking activism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that Keith and I, when we started doing the show, we're talking about is, they bought Disney bought Star Wars specifically and Marvel to keep the boys' butts in the chairs. because they already had the girls, the female audience. We got it. We don't need anything else for them. We'll never lose the female audience. And what do? They turn right around and convert Star Wars and Marvel into stuff to try to keep. And it's like, and it's failing. It's failing miserably. Star Wars and Marvel. They made a lot of money.
They just didn't bring in the right people that know how to market the boy. Yeah.
Phase 4, and I said this before it even launched. I said, when you hear them marketing Phase 5 before Phase 4 is even launched, they're in trouble, and they know it.
Oh yeah, heck, I've already heard certain things about a poor performance of a person who I said would be terrible for this character has been confirmed by 5 different sources for me with regards to the next.
Can you say who it is?
I don't want to spoil it for people that might be interested in the Doctor Strange film.
No, I've already heard it's crap. I saw someone put I actually was going to do a readout of someone put the whole synopsis on Twitter, on Reddit, and I was like, I'll wait a little bit. But
yeah, I'm going to post something.
Chris Gore pretty much summed it up, and I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we are at the end of the show, guys. I really need to wrap this up because I've got a project I'm supposed to be working on right now, and I want to thank Martin Acosta Santana, who sounds like a character from a movie, but he's not. He's a real person, and he's sitting to my immediate left here. Yeah. You're right, my left. And I want to thank you for managing the chat. Martin? Martin?
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Hola.
Are you available tomorrow, Script?
I am in the afternoon. Yes.
We can talk about this after the show.
Sure. Okay.
Stick around, Script.
I'll stick around.
Fats. I love you. Fats.
It's just Fat Steven, too. It's like
Fats.
Yeah, Fats.
Just call me Fats.
It stopped the meme.
I want to thank everybody that showed up in the chat. Astro93, Aaron Ratliff, Brett Cohen, of course, from Down Under, Carter Blake, Chris from Moonlight Productions, who's a good friend of mine. Thus Wolfman, who's also a good friend of mine. Devil Flyer. I mean, you're all good friends of mine, but these are people I know in real life. George Lucas, who I wish was the real George Lucas. Keith, my partner in crime and BFF. I can't pronounce it. King's Sparticle. Mark D with a C was here. Oh man, I didn't even notice that. Mr. Tickletrunk, Parrot Head, of course, was here. Piers Bronson. Real Wit was here. I read your stuff. Scribe Light, good guy.
I love that guy.
Yeah, Shinatsky, I'm watching you.
You got a $5 super sticker from Brett Cohen.
Another friend of mine in real life, Stone Pie Media. Of course, the lovely Sherry was here. YouTube meme, and of course, our good friend Zax, the Zaxonator. Thank you so much. Oh, Brett Cohen gave us a $5 super sticker. Thank you, sir. Should I play something?
Fox saying good job.
Yeah, I'm going to play this one for you. Here you go.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
There you go.
How dare you!
I said.
Oh, I haven't done this yet this week. Fuck you, Gary.
I know I haven't said fuck you to anybody in a few days. So
Go ahead.
I don't feel like it right now. I feel so much love.
Fuck you,
but we are the fuck out of here. I want to thank everybody, and it's good to see you, Mark D with a C. I'm sorry I missed you guys last night. I just was really feeling under the weather. Deeply appreciate it, and well, we'll see you on TG. Well, I don't know. We're not doing a show tomorrow, so Friday, TGIF on Friday. We're going to be talking more about some of the shit that's been going on this week. What a fucking week, eh? Oh, what a fucking week. Busting my balls. Let me get the end titles here, and we'll get the fuck out of here.
Fuck you.
Boom.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon for updates on our shows.
This is the new updated
channel.
Version.
Also, please leave a comment.
So
I would like to know what you thought of the episode, as well as letting us know if there's something you'd like us to cover in a future
NPR
episode.
Version of Keith.
Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield now. Make sure to visit our membership page
goes black.
and merch store at popcultureminefield.com.
You can always find Pop Culture Minefield on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.
Still the best outro theme. Any show.
Eh.
It's okay.